and welcome to this February update video. I have tried filming several videos since the last one that you saw, and various things have happened, including memory cards still giving me jip. And in the end I decided, you know what, I'm just going to film it on my phone. So if the audio in the video looks and sounds different, apologies. If it's worse, if it's better, let me know. And that saves me having to carry around my nice camera all the time. I thought I hoovered this, clearly not. So I've actually tidied up the layout a little bit so that I can go over everything that's happened since you last saw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about things, forgetting whether I've actually told you about them or not. So I think the last update that you guys saw was just after I'd finished painting all my coaches and locos. So since then I've got a DCC unit, I've got a NCE power cab. I'm really enjoying using it. I'm getting used to various bits and bobs within it, but also I've managed to pick up some sound decoders really cheap off eBay and some last minute bids. So I've been having fun playing around with that as well. Now straight off the bat I'll tell you that I said from the very beginning I wasn't fussed about DCC sound. The option for these decoders came up and I thought, you know what, that's cheap enough that I'm not going to worry too much about it. They were Hornby TTS decoders, and I know they're not the best decoders out there, but they're simple to use, which is something that's a big thing for me. And I've really enjoyed using them. So maybe at the end of this video I'll put in a little running session, because you'll be able to see all the new things that have been put on the layout. But I guess the big glaring thing in front of you at the moment is the fact that there's ballast. There is ballast down on the tracks. This looks horrendous at the moment. It's been glued. It's been down for a couple of days, but because obviously we're in winter, it's not drying as quickly as it would in the summer. So that's still going. And then what I'll do is I'll tidy up some of the areas, and then I'll go over it with an airbrush when I get the chance. But yeah, this is done. You'll notice in most of the points that... Sorry, my voice sounds really ropey at the moment. I have just had COVID, and I've not been great for it. And I'm still struggling a little bit with my voice and my breathing, so apologies. So let's start down this end of the layout. So first of all, this is tidy. I'll be really honest, this is only tidy because I decided I needed to clean it up, and I was like, well, you know what, whilst it's tidy, I'm going to film a little video. So you can probably guess from all the gouges in the top board here that this is the area where I do a lot of cutting, because I don't actually have a desk up here, and the more I work on the layout, the less space I actually have to do any other bits and bobs. So yeah, the main thing down here is that I've started ballasting. Oh, actually, no it's not. The main thing is back here. So originally when I first installed the layout, these corners here, because I knew they were out of sight, they were just going to be a second radius and a third radius curve. I have since invested in some slightly newer locos, and for that it meant that I kind of needed to have some better curves. So what I've done is I've upgraded the curves in the fiddle yards using the flexi track that I had before. So yeah, so the curves are a little bit better. There's a lot less problems that I've had around there. Down here, we've got the entrance into the yard. You'll see that there's a buffer stop there and no track here. Basically, when I get the chance, I'm going to put down the other line that goes down there, and very much like this one here. Originally, this was going to be a third line and a fourth line that went off to the fiddle yard, but if I'm really honest, I just cannot be bothered with the aggro of dealing with all the points behind there. So what I've decided is that I'm just going to have two really nice long sidings here. That'll be a nice little thing to have on this part of the layout, and especially for this fourth one. I recently did a little walk down by Fratton train station, and the fourth line is actually overgrown in a lot of places. You can see that it is definitely nowhere near as used as some of the other parts of the lines there. So when I get a chance, I'm going to go down and take some more photos. I got some just by chance because my daughter and I were going for a little walk around there, and I took some quick photos. But obviously she was in the pram, and I didn't want to just suddenly stop and just take photos for an hour. So yeah, so I'm going to put this as two sidings. Just gives me a little bit of storage, a little bit of area for locos to park, or for coaches to sit and wait, and then I can maybe do some shunting whilst the go-through trains, the express and the freight, are all going through. on the main part of the layout. So yeah, so moving up slowly. If you come around here, you sort of end up going around the corner. That's not really changed. It's just been ballasted. I do have a nice big whiteboard here. Our old office at work, basically, were getting rid of a lot of stuff, and one of the guys at reception asked if I wanted a whiteboard. I don't know why he thought that, but I was really grateful, because actually this would be quite a nice little handy thing to put up some of the stuff for running DCC on, so I can remember numbers and some of the functions that I'd want to possibly use on certain locos. So when I get the chance, I'll probably take some photos of each loco, put it up there, and then I can put the functions to use, what's good, what's not, and various things like that. Basically, it's just a nice little thing to have on there that I can wipe away if need be. Plus, it's a nice big white surface that's quite reflective, so it's adding a lot of light to this area. This light up here is new. Basically, when I upgraded the light in here, it did such a good job. I used to have my YouTube lighting up here, which I had from the original Emperor's Path days, and whilst it did light up sort of like this section really well, it actually took up a massive section of the roof here, and it came down to about here. So like I couldn't lean over and look at things, whereas now I've got a lot more space there. There's still one at the other side, but we'll look at that when we come to it. So coming around here, I did start painting the board, and then I sort of gave up. I sort of didn't see the point of it. I'll save the paint for when it comes to actually painting some of the terrain and stuff. I thought it would like add a little bit of colour, but it doesn't really. Yeah, so the back scene has been partially installed, and I'll get round to sort of adding more of it along here. I don't know whether to just not have a back scene along here because of the whiteboard, or have it so the back scene goes in front of the whiteboard, or take the whiteboard down. I don't know. At the moment, I'm not fussed about getting a back scene sort of going all the way down here. It would probably be over the other side. I'd be more interested in it, if I'm really honest, but maybe get this bit done and then have a look and see where we are. So then moving into the station area, this is the prototype mock-up for the footbridge that goes across the Fratton station. It's basically an old Triang kit that I got for a couple of quid from the model shop in Portsmouth. You'll hear me talk about them a lot. It's a nice little kit, and I've got loads of these stairways. So what I might do is, the thing I'm lacking is the walkway section. So I might either try and get some more off eBay for cheap, or I don't know. I've recently started using my Dremel, and because these were so cheap, I sort of used these as a practice tool, and it worked really handily, and I was quite happy with it. So now I'm a little bit more adventurous with the Dremel. So yeah, the footbridge at Fratton looks like this, in the sense that you have this first section here that's completely uncovered. This would go down to the carriage shed, sort of like the servicing area, so this is not open to the public, but it is in fact the stairway where the old Southsea East platform would be. And then as you get sort of halfway down, just as you come to platform 2 and 3, you then suddenly get a little roof over the top as well. So it sort of looks like this. Once again, this is all really, really cheap, so I'm just using this as a mock-up. I want to try and get more of this so it's all the exact same size, because this kit here is different to the rest of it, but as a mock-up it was just nice to sort of have it there. The stations here, once again, they're there just for visual purposes. These will not be the final stations. This is a super quick kit which I got in a bargain bin for £2, and then this is one of the Hornby stations, and I've basically cut it in half. Once again, it was in the bargain bin at the Fratton model shop, branching out there. And basically just cut it in half, because I don't have any space for a full-size station. Any station that I do install is going to be a low relief one. Hindsight, maybe I should have created a bit more space for the station, but at the same time I wanted this entire yard section. So basically from the start of the station here, on the platform 1, 2 and Southsea East platform, platform 1, 2 and 3 and the Southsea East platforms, they've all been ballasted and weathered with the airbrush, and there's some foliage on the branch line section. So these two, they've just been weathered along here. As Just using the airbrush, a mixture of Vallejo Burnt Umber and Rail Match Sleeper Grime, which, despite my saying that I wasn't that fussed about using Rail Match stuff, it's a really good colour and the coverage on it is fantastic for an acrylic paint, so I'm dead impressed with that. The branch line is the one that's, I'm using quotation marks, finished. This is the one that looks the most finished. Mainly because I just put flowers on there, just because I had loads left over from previous projects. I've done some sort of like diesely oil spill looks on here. Hoping the camera picks it up quite nicely. And yeah, it's nice to do. I haven't had the branch line trains running on it. I've actually taken the DCC unit downstairs to my office so I can have a play around with some of the features and functions on it on my little rolling road area. So this is where the power cab little input bit sits, and then I've got my holder for my power cab there. Once again, if I've already said this in a vlog, I apologise. I have actually gone all the way round the edge of the layout and put in, we have a surplus of old floorboards up here, sort of the laminate flooring stuff. And basically I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use it to do the edging because it saves me buying other bits of wood. It's sturdy enough, and like, it's not something that I need it to be a particular colour or anything like that. It just sort of not encroach, it basically holds the layout in to a certain degree, and I quite like the wood finish on it. So yeah, and so I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I've been working on the magnet system to try and make sure that I can get my uncoupling sorted. It's why the yard area hasn't actually been ballasted yet, and that's mainly because I wanted to make sure the magnetic uncouplers worked before I then went over and ballasted everything, because otherwise that won't be fun, then unballasting it. Because let's be honest, ballasting is not a fun point of the hobby. It looks great when it's done, and I'm really happy with the parts that I have done, but it's just so boring. Like, and it's not even the fact that like you then sit and you're sifting it along and you're trying to make it look nice and clean and stuff like that, or you're trying to make it look the way you want it to look, but it's then you then have to go over it with the PVA glue and water method afterwards, and that's just as boring and just as time consuming. And then you can't play trains for a little while whilst it's doing that, which is why I've done the ballasting on the entire outside of the layout, so that when I start doing the ballasting on this section, I at least can still play trains. Yep, the platforms as well, not the final product, but the platforms they've all been painted with just a tester pot of grey paint from Wilkinson's. I think it's about 5 years old. I think I used to use it on rocky terrain that I used to make for like Warhammer stuff. And what I did was, after I had sanded down all of the polyfiller, I then painted it with that tester pot, and then I sort of went sporadically over it with the airbrush with greys, browns and blacks, just to sort of add a little bit of texture to it. I don't know what I'm going to be doing to it, but it was more of like I can at least say that the majority of the work is done, and if I need to go over with X, Y and Z, I can. But yeah, that'll come when it comes. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in terms of the buildings on the station platforms. If I am doing like for like, I should basically be putting canopies all along the platform, so that'll be something to work on. I don't know whether to leave this one completely empty, as it's sort of like it's a not disused, it's not as frequently used, so I want it to be really grubby and dirty. And I will be getting some of the scale model scenery litter packs, just to basically copy Everard Junction really, and put bits of litter and scatter it all over the tracks and stuff. And then as we move down to this side of the layout, I did have some orange wire, so I've just sort of stuck it under here for cabling, for when I eventually finally decide to pluck for the cable troughing from Scale Model Scenery as well. This is just a little kit that I bought it's a Dapol kit, and I bought it from the model shop in Portsmouth. Their name is just the model shop, it's not the model shop in Portsmouth, but it's easier to say that. And because because most model shops have like a funky name, like that's, but theirs is just the model shop. And it doesn't help that the other one down the road is Fratter Model Shop. So, but you get what's on the tin, I suppose. Yeah, I just built this as like a little plastic kit to build something to sort of do in very small amounts of downtime that I do sometimes have. I don't necessarily want to invest in building big massive kits or anything like that. It's more of a little bit of fun to do, and it took me probably 10 minutes or so. It's mostly cleaning up the actual parts was the biggest part, and I eventually want to sort of scrap the plastic signals on there and put some actual working ones on there, which I think would be quite fun. I just need to work out what goes where and what type goes where. So this was a massive renovation part of the project of the this was a massive renovation part of the layout coming up. Basically, whilst that was technically a 4th and 5th radius curve, based on me using a 4th radius curve and then a sort of a gauge meter to sort of match it. This yard bit here was too tight a curve, and it meant that some of my bigger locos were sort of derailing on it, and that wasn't fun. So basically what I did was from here, basically this point here, I not ripped it all up. I did it very lovingly and slowly and carefully. Pulled up all the track and all of the, what's it called? The cork bed underneath it, and basically pushed the track a little bit more towards the edge there. And it's basically meant that I can have a much more sweeping curve. Is that the right term? The curve is a lot better, and it comes down here, and then the points, whereas they were, you can see the old section here, so that one there was that one there, so they have moved a substantial amount. And then those two there, those two now over there, so I've pushed it more against that wall. What I'm going to do is, I do have a little storage shelving unit down there, so I'm going to see if it's possible for me to put like another sort of piece of board on top of that, and how far off it would be for me just sort of stacking maybe some of this cardboard on top, and then just having that back section as a scenic section. Here's the YouTube lights that I was telling you about. They're really good for the area that you're looking for and to light up an area, but yeah, they're quite cumbersome in this loft. Yeah, so that goes all the way down there. And then over Christmas, I think it was, over Christmas, I built this Metcalfe kit as, once again, just a little something that I could do with the little bit of time that I have here and there. Had it set up on the dining room table, and then basically was just slowly building little parts of it. I like Metcalfe kits because they are extremely simple. You only have to cut out sort of score lines, you don't have to cut out the whole thing. I'm really looking forward to building some of the 3DK kits. I've got some that I downloaded and have printed off to sort of give it a try, but that's a lot of sticking paper onto card and then card onto card and stuff like that, and sort of using multiple layers to make it thick, and that requires time and patience, and it's not always something that I have. So yeah, so that comes all the way down there and then goes off into the fiddle yard, and then yeah, and then you start again. Some bits that have changed, obviously, is that I now have edging here, and the branch line is now hidden. And this is the part I've been sort of slowly working on and using old bits for, and hopefully you think it looks quite nice. And this is basically using the Pico girder set. I used one of them on the Inglenook shunting puzzle, cut it to sort of size for what I needed, so I had one left over. So using that and some stone kits from Metcalfe, and you'll be able to see where it's old pieces, but I'm going to try and jazz it all up a little bit. Round on this side, I'm going to try and not get me in shot. I've salvaged all of the retaining walls from the Inglenook shunting puzzle, so I had eight of those sort of going around. Sorry, I couldn't see what you were seeing then. I had sort of 8 of those at the back to sort of add as like my back scene on the shunting puzzle. The shunting puzzle, I will eventually come back to it and redo it. I'm not happy with it. I was really happy with like some of the scenery parts of it, but the actual layout, I wish I'd just done a square baseboard for it. So that's something that I need to work on. But yeah, this is what I've been working on at the moment, because for me a big feature was this section where the branch line goes off towards south sea east, and it was something that I wanted to work on. I wanted it to be a nice little feature. I've gone in with the stone sets. Obviously you can see some of the light creeping through there from the walls on the other side, but basically this is all made out of old laminate flooring and slats from old beds that my father-in-law gave me because he knew that I needed loads of wood for doing supports and stuff. So yeah, so the branch line train can hide under here. At the moment it pokes out the end here, which isn't a problem. It means that I can keep an eye on it for now. I'm going to work out something like a little door or something to be able to get to it if I really need to, but for the moment it does the job. Up on this top bit here, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do. I might put a park up here because I feel like that would be something that would be easy to hide certain areas. Like I've got these wooden bits that in hindsight I probably would have cut to match this height, but I wanted to sort of make the supports and everything. Those of you who don't know me very well, I tend to rush things when when I'm doing bits and bobs. So yeah, I sometimes just sort of do and then think later and go, oh yeah, I could have done that. But it's doable. Yeah, a little park up here might be something nice. It means I don't have to invest in sort of like loads of Oxford cars if I do a roadway or anything like that. And I can sort of put some raised beds here and just have like a maybe like a park bench or something on this bit to sort of look out. I think that'd be quite cool actually. But let me know if there's something that you think I could put up here. I do also have downstairs, I finally built my Metcalfe block of flats, low relief block of flats, which was once again a nice kit to build. I am not as good with my hands as I used to be, so I swore a lot whilst I was trying to sort of build sections of it, and matching up the doors to the frames for each flat was not my favourite part. But yeah, so along this back bit, that's probably where I'll get the block of flats to go, because I want to buy another kit because it would look good having two as sort of low relief bits, having them all go up the back there. And yeah, I think that'd be quite nice, and then sort of break off this scene here. I say ballasting's the main thing I want to get done at the moment. But I'm now at a point where I need to weather my trains or my locos. I've got rolling stock. I've got stuff that can go around, which is the main thing here. I'm going to do an episode on sort of like a wish list of what I would like in the future for the layout. Hopefully that'll be something that people want to see. If you have sort of like a wish list of what you want, your top 5, it can be locos, it can be equipment, it can be scenery, it can be rolling stock. It's completely your choice, but let me know what you're after. I'm going to sort of do one of those little videos. But yeah, that's where the layout stands at the moment. I'm going to get some trains running hopefully soon. This video's gone on a little bit too long now, so there's probably not going to be a section of trains just sort of going around having a little bit of a running session. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've rambled on for quite a while now, but hopefully you've enjoyed seeing the layout transform, because I feel like since the last video it's probably transformed quite a bit. I've got little bits to work on. Nothing is completely finished. Some things are in place, like the station, just for visual, so I can go, right, okay, I don't want something like that, but that's nice to have there just to sort of, so you know that's the station. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please do all of the things. If you enjoyed this, tell your friends about it. It's quite easy for me to sit here and say like, comment, subscribe, because I don't necessarily do all of those things on every video that I watch. Sometimes I like, sometimes I comment. If I like the content, I usually do subscribe, but it's completely up to you. Not everyone's thing. And yeah, other than that, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys at the next video.